In order to affect change in your inner work, in your inner self, in order to affect change for yourself, the pain of not changing has to outweigh the pain of changing. And if you think about that, there's sort of a pendulum of, oh, I'm able to tolerate these things, I'll accept these circumstances, I'll continue to do this thing that I'm doing. But at a certain point, the pain of hanging on to that, of tolerating your circumstance, outweighs the pain of change. That's when the lightning strikes. So if you're on the edge of that, and I'm talking to you, if you're thinking about this and you're wondering, maybe it's time for me to dream bigger, maybe it's time for me to say yes to this thing so I can say yes to my dreams and say no to that stuff. The pain of changing is less than the pain of staying the same. Oh man, whew. It is so good to be with you. Today, I wanted to talk about some mindset shifts. In fact, I wanted to tell a story about 3 mindset shifts that occurred to me in seasons or chapters of my life, of my career. And they're the 3 biggest mindset shifts that I have overall. And I wanted to share them today as a story, to serve as inspiration, to serve as comfort. We all come from different backgrounds and have had different challenges, different opportunities. And so it's always cool to share out and get back. So this message is really for you, me showing up and sharing out, looking for community, looking for opportunities to inspire other people. I mean, that's really why I'm here with this camera pointed at me. Sharing my light out is for everybody else. So I want to start with an overall phrase for this: burn the boats. Burn the boats. Burn the boats means that you're so emotionally committed, that you're in such a deep pool of self-belief within your own body, mind, and spirit, that when you go out and trailblaze, when you go out and create, when you're out being an entrepreneur, building a business, whatever it is that you're getting up to, you lead that energy with a burn the boats mentality. You're not worried about what failure might look like. You're not making a backup plan. You're just leading with intention. You're leading with self-belief. And what I needed at that time in my life when I started my entrepreneurial journey was an overwhelming amount of self-confidence, like a disgusting amount. Like I had to just really get myself jazzed up, get myself hyped up about what I was about to do. I needed that deep level of self-belief. So I say burn the boats. That's how you're going to find success, is by putting in that level of effort that matches your destiny, your amount of self-belief, and living in love while you go down that path. I think about these 3 mindset shifts as chapters in my career, kind of in my life. When I started first going to work out of college, which I'll dub as like my corporate phase. I worked in corporate for 15 or 16 years. I worked in some startup environments. I worked for some publicly traded multinational companies. I kind of ran the gamut in terms of size of company and also in terms of size of business and team. And I did work with a lot of great people. I made a lot of great friends, for sure. But what happened to me along the way is I worked for a lot of assholes. And that became a mantra for me when I decided to be an entrepreneur. It was a doormat. It became a doormat. I had so many experiences working for people in the business who were in leadership positions or positions of authority or responsibility, and they just weren't nice. I think we all have this experience. You've had this experience. I've had this experience. And for me, it was about what I chose to do with it. When this was happening to me really for the first time, I had a phrase come into my mind called "you get what you tolerate." And it just kind of hit me one day like a download. I was on my way to work and something had happened and I had to make some changes. And I was like, man, it's really up to me whether or not I accept these circumstances. It's really up to me whether or not I say what is happening is tolerated, it's acceptable. And I decided that it wasn't acceptable and I wasn't going to tolerate it. I decided that the things that were happening in the workplace to me or preventing me from growing or things of that nature, I just decided I wasn't going to tolerate those circumstances and that I deserved more, that I was worth more, that I wanted more, I desired more, and that wasn't being nurtured. The plant can only get as big as the pot that it's planted in, and I needed a bigger pot. I needed to expand. So that kind of like corporate season got kicked off about midway through with this idea of like, you get what you tolerate, which then caused me to work at a series of different companies with different teams, different identities, different jobs even. And toward the end of that arc is when I decided to become an entrepreneur. Boop! Quick commercial break. We're about to get into the juicy details. I just wanted to let you know, if you engage with my content, if you subscribe to my page, I look at every single one. And I'm here to serve, not to sell. I'm out here trying to help and teach people what's worked for me in scaling my agencies. Thanks for listening. And when I decided to become an entrepreneur toward the end of my corporate career journey, the initiative for that was really, I realized for the first time, the only way for me as a person, as a self, to create the opportunity for complete time and money freedom, time and financial freedom, freedom of your schedule, your calendar, your money, your income, your potential to earn, to create generational wealth, to be comfortable, to live life the way you want to live it. The only way really to do that for me was to become an entrepreneur. And toward the end of that season, another phrase came into my mantras, which was fortune favors the bold. And it just hit me one day as I was thinking about leaving at the peak of my corporate career as a CEO, getting paid well. This was during 2020, during COVID, and the world was sort of upside down, and I just had this urge to do something different, to become an entrepreneur. And this phrase, fortune favored the bold, kept coming to me. And the mindset shift that I went through during that phase, sitting at the beach, staring out at the ocean by myself, meditating, manifesting, whatever it was, to like jump from this safe, solid, maybe not as desirable workplace that I would like, but nonetheless it was there. And I had to jump into the deep end of being an entrepreneur without really knowing what I was getting into, without knowing how deep it was. But I had this will to serve others, to create my own. So the mindset shift in chapter 2 of this story, the chapter 2 in the season of my career journey, is getting certain about uncertainty. I had to get certain about the uncertain situation that I was going to put myself in. I didn't know immediately out of the gate what that life was going to look like. I didn't know how I was going to bring revenue in necessarily. I didn't know how I was going to hire and build teams. I just had this vision of building something that was a place where people that I like wanted to work there. People who worked there had fun. And I really created it as like a culture for people to thrive. That's what I wanted to create in my first company, was a culture for people to thrive. Small teams, less than 25 people, keep it really tight and close-knit, and just provide a great service, just provide great value. It didn't need to be a $1 trillion idea. It just was like, just create a place that's fun and safe and where you can control your time and you can control your limited potential to earn money and make it unlimited. And in that process, it was really about getting certain about uncertainty. So for all of you out there that are thinking about this in your own lives, maybe you haven't quit the full-time job and you're side hustling. Maybe you've been freelancing for 3 or 4 years and you've had trouble building a team. Unlock the mindset, lock into your vision and your dream, and be okay with the uncertainty. Be certain about it. It's okay that I don't know how this is going to play out. It's okay if I make mistakes. It's okay if I fail. This is all part of the learnings on how to win. Every successful entrepreneur that I've studied has always hit a rock bottom, and it's back on the way up when they hit their peak. they wouldn't have done that if they weren't certain about the uncertainty, right? They're getting up and doing another rep. So please do me a favor and get certain about your uncertain future and get locked into your mind, get locked into your vision, understand what it is that you want to do. It could be financial, it could be social, it could be the level of impact that you want to create. Whatever it might be, just get locked into getting certain about the uncertainty. Now, as I'm going through the season of getting certain and finding things that work, and certainly finding a lot of things that don't work, helping me narrow my path of how do I take this business and scale it. I did a lot of different things in the business in the first couple of years, like most entrepreneurs, figuring out what was the thing that was going to get traction. And as soon as we found traction, scaled that up, busted through the 7-figure mark as an agency 4 years into the business, and I had the opportunity to build, scale, and exit. And that was my first company that I started, and it took me 5 years to get there, and it was just an incredible experience. And as I had that moment, and I had that exit and that event happen, I created Hypeman Ventures for me to serve others. For me to say, hey, there's something of value here. There's knowledge that I have, there's experience that I've spent millions of dollars of my own time and money investing in myself to get to this place, to have this opportunity that not everyone gets to have. Building a 7-figure company, first of all, number one, is difficult to do. The data will tell you it's difficult as an individual to build an enterprise that generates more than $1 million a year. You're among fewer companies. So I said, well, this is a great experience. I want to take this forward. And as I contemplated what my next steps were, this idea of being an empire builder came into my mind, that I left corporate. I was an entrepreneur. I became a serial entrepreneur, building multiple companies, sold one of them. And I thought, I want to build an empire. And it's funny because when I started that fortune favors the bold phase of my career development, I remember thinking and telling people I'm building an empire. And it was sort of said like tongue in cheek, like, I know you're going to laugh at me, but I'm building an empire. Well, what does it look like, Ken? Well, it looks a little bit like this and a little like that. I can tell you how it feels. It's not real clear to me exactly how it's going to look, but I'm going to create that vision and I'm going to work toward it. So being an empire builder wasn't totally foreign to me, but really locking in like, well, what does that mean now? I've built, I've scaled, I've exited. What's next? So as I looked ahead, I thought I need to find someone who has been an 8-figure entrepreneur or a 9-figure entrepreneur, someone who is in the place that I am trying to go next. I had the 7-figure experience. I want to go into the 8-figure experience. How do I stretch into that next season of life? So chapter 3 is all about empire building and the mindset shift of finding people or a network that you can tap into to help you get to the next hurdle. For me, it was 7 to 8 figures, but for someone else, it might be something different. It's just this idea that I want to do more than I did before. And how can I invite the help in? How can I find the right proximity to people who have been in the place that I'm trying to go? And empire building to me is chapter 3. It's my current season that I am. It's my current season that I'm in. And to me, it's being an entrepreneur, but then expanding into having a personal brand, having my own identity in a way to inspire other people that isn't through my direct business. And it's also empire building in the sense that not only do I want to build and scale companies and teach you how to scale companies, but I also want to get into M&A. I want to look at how do I acquire other firms, companies, opportunities that compound the growth of what I'm building. If I start a company and I build it, there's a linear growth path. Even if you're doing really well in your scaling, there's still a path of you can only grow so quick for so long. But through the power of acquisition and empire building, using strategic multiplication, as my buddy Brian Franco talks about in his book, Inevitable Exit. It's a great book on empire building and strategic multiplication. As an entrepreneur, moving into this different phase. So today, I'm coming to you, sharing my stories, giving you a peek into where I'm currently at in my journey, where I've come from, the experiences and challenges that I've had, and the opportunities, and where I'm going. And the mindset component of me being an entrepreneur far outweighs the tactics, the strategy, all of the other components. If you don't truly have your mindset locked in, if you're not reviewing your goals every day, if you're not seeing the vision and the place that you want to be, and you're not ignoring the fear that comes in every time you try to do the new thing, every time you think about doing what you would really like to do and stop doing what you're not enjoying, and all the fear rushes into your mind and gives you 100 reasons why you shouldn't do it, you have to just say, no thanks, not needed. I'm going to get back into my mindset and get locked into my vision. And you have to realign yourself every day, twice a day, 3 times a day. It's a practice, getting yourself realigned to your mindset. And I'm excited to have shared these 3 mindset shifts that really changed everything for me throughout the journey of me being in corporate, then an entrepreneur, and moving into this phase of empire building. And what I've learned for myself is that in order to affect change in your inner work, in your inner self, in order to affect change for yourself, the pain of not changing has to outweigh the pain of changing. And if you think about that, there's sort of a pendulum of, oh, I'm able to tolerate these things, I'll accept these circumstances, I'll continue to do this thing that I'm doing. But at a certain point, the pain of hanging on to that, of tolerating your circumstance, outweighs the pain of change. That's when the lightning strikes. So if you're on the edge of that, and I'm talking to you, if you're thinking about this and you're wondering, maybe it's time for me to dream bigger, maybe it's time for me to say yes to this thing so I can say yes to my dreams and say no to that stuff, the pain of changing is less than the pain of staying the same. And all these mindsets and the current state of life that I'm in today as a creator, as an entrepreneur, is I live in this mindset of I want to design a life that I would love to live. I want to create a game that I would play forever. I don't want it to feel like work. I want to enjoy creating content. I want to enjoy teaching other people. I want to enjoy speaking at events. I want to enjoy building businesses and meeting teams and building teams and meeting new people. I want to do all of these things because I enjoy it, because it fills me up. And I've architected my life over many years to get to this place where I am living a life that I designed and I'm loving it. And I would just encourage you, borrow from my mindset shifts, borrow my confidence, borrow my hype, whatever lands for you, take it forward and take it into action. If you've made it this far into the video and you're thinking about it, please just do me a favor and put it into action. Information is great, reading books is great, listening to podcasts is great, listening to YouTube content is great, but you have to figure out what's the stuff that's really going to move the needle for you and how do you put that into action today. And I would say find your mindset shift, find the phrase that just makes you light up inside and makes you so eager to change so that you too can design a life that you would love to live. Hypeman out.